Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amba TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. abcambertv.com. Facebook ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com.
Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. La Republic du Cameroon, a country on life support, unable to pay civil servant salaries, unable to settle internal and external debt, declared by donor bodies, the World Bank and IMF, as a failed state, wastes taxpayers' hard-earned money, all in a bid to hide the sources of their ill-gotten wealth. In a country where millions live from hand to mouth, where millions can't make ends meet due to the high cost of living, it's such a pity, especially for its citizens. Meanwhile, La Republic du Cameroon is being divided at different fronts, and we wonder, will the cabal in Yaoundé survive it? First is the senseless war that was declared against the peoples of southern Cameroon that more than damned to sustain, and now another war with the Republic of Chad loaded. La Republic du Cameroon at the brink of war with the Republic of Chad. The Boulou-Bétis excessive thievery, Chop-Broke Port, has transversed Les Ponts Nguli, that is Nguli Bridge, into N'Djamena, and the Zakwas are vexed. History has it that the Zakwas are a people of war from the Fulani tribe of Idris Derby. It is believed that they hail from Sudan, empowered by a strong fraternity between the Zagawa people, also called Beri or Zahawa, of a Sahelian ethnic group primarily residing in southwestern Libya, northeastern Chad, and West Sudan, including Darfur. They have been able to subdue the minority community of Sahara of southern Chad, most Christians, to secure power for decades. They are the petroleers, petro money controllers of Chad, and there is no doubt that they will do everything humanly possible to fight any third-party intrusion. This likely is a time bomb and of great concern to the Gulf of Guinea. We'll head into the full briefings of Undaunted tonight, but only after the prime headlines.
Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amba TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768, www.abcambatv.com.
Right here are the prime headlines. Augustine, observed after the girl he was jailed for killing, was found alive. Another war for neighboring La Republic de Cameroon loading as a Chadian armed La Republic de Cameroon men and petrol theft becomes a major story. Passengers from Bamenda to Boya stranded in Mbada. Stop receiving directive from John Fundi. This is coming from G27 and members as they tell party militants. A refugee in Ambazonia, a family risk being pushed out of a warehouse they live in. Of course, this is as a result of all of the war crimes. How La Republic de Cameroon and its colonial capital Yaoundé will be immersed by 2035 is a story that will definitely interest you. Bishops of Cameroon have rounded up 48th plenary assembly and they are asking faithfuls to pray for peace. All right. And in the foreign news, South Africa to exit ICC. The war in Sudan is lightning a force that could detonate across borders, causing immense suffering for years. Now let's get the news in detail.
The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution and Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way around.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
Payment method. www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amba TV payment channels. Cash App 202-650-2216. Zelle 40486-8768. Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com.
It is often said that the heart of man is desperately wicked. If this is true, then politicians are having double the wickedness of the heart of a non-politician. They will stop at nothing to get to that converted position. If politicians are not deceiving the electorate with fake promises, they are busy stabbing one another. This is only typical of the type of politicians born and breathed by the colonial Republic to Cameroon's government. The former mayor of the Colonial Dump Council jailed twice after 2 trials for allegedly kidnapping and killing a girl, can now put a sigh of relief after the said girl was discovered in the city of Douala, the economic capital of neighboring La Republic de Cameroon. The question is, who is behind the conspiracy damaging the political career of Augustine Watson? Now that the girl has been discovered alive, what is next? Oh, well, this is where we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted today. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, Onyi. Good evening. Well, the girl was declared dead, and the former in-house slave mayor of the Undaunted was jailed as the assassin had been found alive and living in Douala. Augustine Watson, the former in-house slave mayor of the Colonia Undaunted local government area, is now vindicated as the girl he was jailed for killing has been found alive. The girl, who goes by the name Iye Temdikwa, according to eyewitnesses, was spotted hawking spices in Douala. According to a hearing from the Colonia Undop High Court, the girl's father, Mwanyek Philip Nyaji, accused Augustine Watson, who was accused of kidnapping and killing his daughter. He also asked the court to let the mayor pay him the sum of 150 million francs CFA for damages.
Well, according to the Post newspaper, Augustine Watson was arrested and ferried for pre-trial detention at the Ndop prison. It was only after about 2 years that the court ordered his release. He was then released on December 18, 2018 for lack of substantial evidence. In reaction, the girl's father filed an appeal against the decision of the Colonial Ngokentuja High Court for the release of Augustine Watson. After examining the grounds of the appeal, the Bamenda Colonial Appeal Court overruled the decision ordering the second arrest of Augustine Watson.
Well, on June 15, 2022, he was re-arrested in Fumban, a town in the west region of La Republic du Cameroon, where he had resorted to farming. The second pre-trial detention lasted until February 17, 2023, when the Ngoketunja Colonial High Court dismissed the matter once more for lack of evidence. At the time when the supposed assassinated girl was arrested in Douala, the father, Mwanyek Philippe Nwanji, was at the appeal court to challenge the decision. It is a developing story, and Undaunted will bring updates of the girl and the arrest.
All right, and moving on, the consequences of the Colonial Republic de Cameroon divide and rule policy to keep the southern Cameroons under the colonial yoke by depriving it of good road infrastructure linking the southern zone to the northern zone. It's quite alarming. Now, when passengers traveling from Bamenda local government area to Bowie local government area find themselves in neighboring La Republic to Cameroon, it is a deliberate act of marginalization. ABC Amber News learned that soldiers unjustly arrested a driver and his assistants, commonly referred to as a motorboy, leaving over 75 passengers stranded in the neighboring La Republic, the Cameroon town of Mwada. The over 75 passengers includes young and old, and the Colonial La Republic of Cameroon soldiers arrested the driver and his assistant unjustly.
Well, these passengers were on their way to Boya from Bamenda when they were intercepted at a Colonial La Republic du Cameroon security control post. One of the victims tell Undaunted that on our way we met an unrecognized control post in Umbuda. Two gendarmes entered the bus and started harassing the driver and holding the steering while the bus was in motion, putting the lives of 75 people at risk. The officers later contacted the Bacham gendarmerie, who arrived the scene and arrested the driver and the motorboy. As they said, we have been here since 12 a.m. and all our efforts are in vain. Well, all these disturbances because the driver refused to settle or bribe the Colonial La Republic du Cameroon's gendarmes.
Oh, well, in a related story, the year 2035 in neighboring La Republic of Cameroon has become a sing-song like the year 2000 when many woke up and discovered that there was actually no difference and matters were even moving from bad to worse. That's the same thing with La Republic of Cameroon talking about emergence by 2035 without putting anything in place to achieve it. To begin with, Yaoundé, the capital, is an eyesore, road network absent, and the few patched paths practicable. Sewage disposal is absent, field littering everywhere, no proper urban planning, construction is haphazard, poor drainage system, and the list continues.
Well, the current torrential rains have been at it again in Yaoundé. Several neighborhoods, including central Yaoundé, are overflowing with water. Several denizens may use canoes to access their homes, but they won't because the rains have carried away properties, damaged bridges, pulled down buildings, trees, and crops. Several activities in Yaoundé have been crippled as dilapidated bridges and poor drainage systems in the city have failed to hold back floods following recent heavy rains.
Well, ABC and Bird TV learns that the situation in Nkobison quarters, a Yaoundé neighborhood, is as a result of the dilapidated, narrow, and low nature of some bridges, coupled with the poor drainage systems in the city. When heavy rain falls, the bridge on the road leading to the Catholic University of Central Africa overflows and circulation is therefore hindered. This is just one example.
Well, Nkobison, as you see from the picture attached, is not alone. That's why ABC Amba TV is saying that neighboring La Republic du Cameroon, instead of emerging by 2035, could easily emerge.
Well, the collective of militants and scribes of the the SDF party, that is the G27 plus, continues to accuse SDF chairman Ni John Fundi of leading the party in the wrong direction. In a recent statement, they say Ni John Fundi has unilaterally decided to change the political orientation of the SDF by making it an allied party to the CPDM and its presidential majority. The G27 plus, its members denounce with the strongest terms the unilateral change in the ideology of the SDF by John Fundi, who, beyond the idea of the founding fathers, was consolidated by the Cameroonian people through Union for Change.
Well, the recent slippage of the national president of the SDF, according to the G27 Plus, is his silence over the appointment of Senator Vanigasen Mochigo and his election as president of the Senate. A silence they believe relates to acceptance. The appointment, they say, will have heavy consequences on the political line of the party. Senator Vanigasen Mochigo, it should be noted, was appointed on March 30th by President Paul Biya alongside 29 other senators and later elected one of the vice presidents of the House.
Well, he was list lead for the SDF party in the Northwest region during the 12th March 2033 senatorials, but failed to sail through. What's the way forward? Faced with this sad episode in the history of the party, the collective of militants and scribes of the SDF urged party members and militants to no longer follow the directives of the national president, John Frundi, so as not to be complicit in the liquidation of their precious heritage. The G27 Plus calls on the militants who are disappointed with the move to once again remain calm and vigilant.
Well, in this statement, stipulated in it is a statement that says we ask them to remain ready ahead of preparations and the holding of a national congress worthy of the 32 years of struggle of the SDF. Militants of the SDF were reminded through the statement that actions are on before the national courts relative to the cancellation of the anti-statutory resolutions taken since June 2022 by Chairman John Frundi and his clique.
Moving on. It is really a missed target for the paramount funds of the Mazam County to be marching on the streets of Bamenda soliciting for peace and normalcy, while he who declared war and carried out all forms of atrocity, that is President Paul Biya, is there in Yaoundé. The custodians of our traditions are indeed tired of the shackles of the ongoing war in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. So they are begging the people of Ambazonia, who are just there to defend themselves and their territory from the colonial Republic to Cameroon government, to live in the substance and chasten the shadow.
Well, the funds are advised to rather put up a united front and petition the colonial Republic du Cameroon ruler Paul Biya to call off the war he declared on southern Cameroons. Instead, they should write a jointly signed letter to the colonial Republic du Cameroon head Paul Biya to call for a ceasefire. Paramount Fund of Mancon, Fund Anguafo IV, Fund Azefo III of Nkwane, and Fund Forchesiri III of Bamenda Kwe, all in Mazam County of the Midland Zone of Ambazonia, were at the forefront of a so-called peace walk in Bamenda, soliciting for peace and normalcy to return to the county.
Well, the Peace Walk is an initiative organized by the Colonial Regional Assembly, which saw its launching on Wednesday, April 26, 2024, dubbed Mazam Peace and Development Initiative under the theme Peace and Sustainable Development. It says we are bound to preach peace. Peace return to the zone. In Mazam, when we hold peace plans, it means we are fighting for peace. And when there is peace, there is development. Well, this is from Fon Azefo of Nkwane, who spoke on behalf of the funds.
Well, the walk saw people of different walks of life from the 7 local government areas that make up the Mazam County clamoring for peace, bearing messages to shun violence as they walk from Malwan Junction to the colonial governor's office, such as peace is possible if we all work together. Let's build bridges, not walls. Let's teach our children to be peacemakers. Together, we can make Mazam a better place. One person can make a difference in Mazam by choosing peace. Well, the launch of the Mazam Peace and Development Initiative comes hours after the Archbishop for Bamenda visited the Mancon Palace to pray for peace in the division.
When it comes to contributing to the national treasury, the Bulu, Betty, the crime syndicate are absent. They strategically position themselves at the receiving end, proving to only be consumers, and they render accounts to no one. Controllers of these toll gates are their family members who work day and night under the rain and under the sun, only their personal pockets.
Well, it has been reported that since this toll gate affairs is so lucrative and juicy, there are sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles, including in-laws they have positioned, have refused to take even a day's off. Let's take a look at the locations of these toll gates. In Yaoundé, to Eboloa, 200 kilometers, there's a zero toll gate there. And from Yaoundé to Eboloa to Amba to Kiesu, that's 450 kilometers. There's also 0 toll gates there. But then from Douala to Yaoundé, that's about 260 kilometers. There are 2 toll gates there. From Douala to Bafoussam, that's 300 kilometers. 4 toll gates. From Yaoundé to Bafoussam, 280 kilometers. We have 3 toll gates there. From Bafoussam to Dechang, That's about 40 kilometers, and it has one toll gate there from Dachang to Melong. That's 40 kilometers with one toll gate. From Bafoussam to Fumbat, we have one toll gate there. That's about 22 kilometers. And from Bafoussam to Bafang, a distance of 55 kilometers, has one toll gate there.
Well, we at Undaunted are wondering what these administrative practice above is really what they are really doing, because I mean, when you hear the amount above, you would want to wonder too. Having shares at the expense of the masses, terrible. Well, sadly, in the Republic of Cameroon, where corruption seems to be in the DNA of everything, it's possible, especially when the interest of the powers that be is protected.
Well, moving on to another interesting part of this is the corruption in La Republique du Cameroon. Videos have resurfaced of more callous acts more than this toll gates built to fill pockets of La Republique du Cameroon's Bolu Betis. The world can see our country on life support, unable to pay its civil servant salaries, unable to settle both internal and external debt declared by donor bodies and World Bank as a failed state waste taxpayers' hard-earned money. Ashamed and afraid to justify the sources of ill-gotten wealth in a country where millions live from hand to mouth, where millions cannot make ends meet because of the high cost of living.
Well, Bulu Betty embezzlers and chop broke potters set fire on tons of France CFAs to cover their crimes. Now, let the interim government legal luminaries watch the video and tell the world the type of crime syndicate with whom Amazonians have been cohabiting with for over 62 years and the legal implication of such acts. Well, I'm sure that whenever we have our exclusive discussion with Tapa the King, this particular discussion will definitely come up. All right, moving on, let's look at the security in Bowie County. Well, this particular information we received on the 27th of April, which was Wednesday. Well, it says the La Republic to Cameroon terrorist forces of occupation stationed in Tachun, Nkum local government area were given a rude awakening when the Bowie warriors under the command of Major General Chokandu invaded their camp, spraying it with bullets. Inhabitants around the brigade all ran into hiding, leaving the town totally deserted. Some terrorist elements bunkered into the church building where they were able to halt the advancing warriors' attack as they were pinned down in an hour-long gun battles.
Well, the warriors hoisted the Amazonian national flag flying tall and bright in the market square. At midnight, some La Republique du Cameroon terrorist elements sneaked out of their hiding to remove the Amazonian flag that was hoisted by the warriors, hoping that the warriors had left the area and blown up into pieces. At least 3 terrorist elements were sent to San Malima via the Akonolingo Express. This attack follows the IED detonated in Tobin, Kumba local government area, which equally killed 3 La Republique du Cameroon terrorists and an enabler's son who dined with the terrorist. This message was gotten courtesy of Bowie's security team. Well, there is a video to this, and we hope to bring it to you shortly.
Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amba TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com.
Daily life in the field. Daily life for tattoo. Na go understand something. Na be say una no one come for daytime, una one to come now for night. Na go understand something. Na go hear we life for tattoo. Tattoo life. Life tattoo. Life tattoo life. We warriors una major general to can do. Una go hear something. Na go for life. Life. Major general to can do and suppose life for tattoo. Life. Daily life in the field. Daily life for tattoo. Na go understand something. Na be say una no one come for daytime, una one to come now for night. Na go understand something. Na go hear we life for tattoo. Tattoo life. Life tattoo. Life tattoo life. We warriors una major general to can do. Una go hear something. Na go for life. Life. Major general to can do and suppose life for tattoo. Life.
There you have it. The Chadian armed men have threatened to attack Yaoundé. Chadian armed men in this video have warned La République du Cameroon to stop theft of their petrol, and that if La République du Cameroon does not withdraw, they will capture neighboring Yaoundé. Now we wonder if La République's corruption doesn't just end in the country, but also out of the country. Well, we'll take this video of the incident.
Expect us. We leave in Jamena at 4 a.m. and midday we will be in Etudi in Yaoundé. If they want to steal our fuel stroke petrol, I have my gun.
On va quitter N'Djamena à 5h et à midi, on sera à Yaoundé à Etudi.
We will leave in Jamena by 5 a.m. and before they know it, we will Yaoundé. We will not accept them to steal from us. That will not happen. It is important to highlight that the Republic of Chad has fought more wars in their history than La République du Cameroon. We are told that the recent outrage has been provoked by some irregular activities from the Bia's family. Unconfirmed sources claim that octogenarian Paul Bia's wife and son Frank may have their hands deep in the plot. Though it would appear that the media in neighboring La République du Cameroon is avoiding to inform their vulnerable public of the details involved with this situation. We at Undaunted have our ears and eyes on the ground, and we promise to update you as the news unfolds. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
Right, so the question is, what does that mean, or what could that mean? It could mean another war for neighboring La République du Cameroon. It could mean another war loading. La République du Cameroon at the brink of war with the Republic of Chad. The Blue Betty excessive thievery, the Chop-Brook port, has traversed La Pointe Ngoli, that's the Ngoli Bridge, into N'Djamena and the Zikahars. They are all vexed. History has it that the Zikahars are a people of war from the Fulani tribe of Idris Derby. It is believed that they hail from Sudan. Think about it. Empowered by a strong fraternity between the Zagawa people, also called Beri or Zagawa, of Salian ethnic group primarily residing in southwestern Libya. Also the northern East Chad and the western Sudan, including Darfur. They have been able to subdue the minority community of Sahara of the southern Chad, mostly Christian. And so they tried to secure power for decades.
Well, they are the petroleers, petrol money, controllers of Chad, and there's no doubt that they will do everything humanly possible to bloodily fight any third party intrusion. From the video clip you saw, there is no doubt that the Zakawas are not taking the matter lightly at all. Yaoundé must be careful this time around. This is not another Southern Cameroon who was shown tolerance throughout La République du Cameroon's invasion. It is a developing story, and we are closely watching.
Meanwhile, in other news, ABC Amba TV learns that because of these burning issues concerning Savannah Energy, there's a safe secret deals with neighboring La République du Cameroon, the first son, Frank Bier, and the Chadian government, the La République du Cameroon Secretary General, and the presidency, Ferdinand Ngor, was dispatched to Chad to claim tensions, and that on the sidelines, Savannah Energy and the Côte Co meet in a crisis meeting summoned in colonial France for a way out. Come what may, La République du Cameroon and Chad remains at daggers drawn, and the bone of contention is the issue of La République du Cameroon's state seals by an individual, Frank Bier, to sign a private oil deal, not even for the interests of La République du Cameroon. Unfortunately, for La République du Cameroon 419ers. Well, the Chadian government was smart to smell a rat, if you ask me.
The issue is linked to the Chad Cameroon pipeline project. The pipeline was constructed by CODCO, an affiliate of the American giant oil company ExxonMobil. Due to the fact that Chad is a landlocked country, an agreement was reached that the oil from the oil fields in Chad should be exported through Kribi port in La République du Cameroon. So a long pipeline was constructed from Chad to Kribi. ExxonMobil foot the bill of the huge project, but the problem came up in when the Chadian government was opposed to the fact ExxonMobil opted to sell its shares to Savannah Energy, which the government does not consider to be a giant like Exxon in the petroleum sector.
The Chadian government protested the Savannah Energy to them is a lightweight and is little known in the petroleum sector in the world. The Chadian government insisted that ExxonMobil should sell its shares to another giant in the sector. The government even muted that Chad could even buy the share, then let it go to a company like Savannah Energy.
Well, La Republic, through its national hydrocarbons company SNH, with Savannah Energy, outsmarted the Chadian government and went ahead with this shady deal that is now tearing the two countries apart. This diplomatic crisis has come to once more raise the question as to whether President Biya is still in control in La Republic du Cameroon. And from all indications, he doesn't seem to be in control anymore.
All right. Also, the ongoing crisis in the Amazonian axis has forced many to abandon their homes for security reasons. Many are displaced internally, while others have gone beyond the boundaries to seek refuge in neighboring Nigeria and neighboring La République du Cameroon. Those who took the option to run to their enemy's camp, La République du Cameroon, have been facing challenges from one problem to the other, ranging from sexual assault, exploitation of all sorts, and even assassination. This time around, an Amazonian family taking refuge in Yaoundé, the colonial capital of La République du Cameroon, risks being pushed out of a warehouse they have been occupying by a retired La République du Cameroon statesman. What will become of this family now?
What will become of this family now? Let's take a full detail at this particular story. An Amazonian family living in Vobetsi, Yaoundé, risk being homeless and stranded as they have continued receiving threats to evacuate a warehouse in which they have been living since December 2022. The family head who spoke to MMI said the retired director, identified as Adamo Musa, who lives around them, has insisted they must pack out of the warehouse or be thrown out. The head of this internally displaced family from the Midland zone of Amazonia says they have been living freely in the warehouse since December 2022 after registering with an association of IDPs in Vobetsi called ONES.
Well, the said retired director, who is now chasing them out, it approved of their stay in the facility when they moved into it. But on Monday, April 24th, he warned the family to pack out by 10 a.m. the next day. That's Tuesday, April 25th. He vowed to bring thugs to throw them away. Now, according to the head of this family, he says, our children are going to school. We have nowhere to go. He has no reason now, just wickedness, lamented the head of the family, adding that they need help and serious intervention. He goes on to say, we have no power. We ran from war to look for temporary settlement before going back. Now we are under persecution. Officials of the La Republic de Cameroon Yaoundé 6 cancel visited the settlement that Tuesday and promised to return on Friday.
Well, in another development, human rights violation by thugs of the colonial La Republic du Cameroon, which cannot be underrated, continues. A lot of persons have been denied justice by the La Republic du Cameroon judiciary, while justice others seek is being delayed. Frustrated by the corrupt judicial system, the population of the Cameroons prefer mob justice to handle their offenders rather than trusting them to the corrupt La Republic du Cameroon police. Now, meeting for their 48th plenary assembly, the bishops of Cameroon have condemned the extrajudicial killings going on in the country. Why can't the clergy point a direct finger to the Republic government for sponsoring and carrying out the extrajudicial killings?
Well, bishops of the two Cameroons have ended their 48th plenary assembly at the headquarters of the National Episcopal Conference in Mauvier, Yaoundé, the colonial political capital of La Republique du Cameroon, with a call on the faithful to pray for peace in Cameroon. The bishops' plenary, which took place from the 16th of April to the 22nd of April 2023, was marked by a prayer session, works in commissions, report from various commissions, the commemoration of the 10th anniversary of Pope Francis pontificate, the commemoration of the 80th and the 25th death anniversary of Bishop Francis Xavier and the Archbishop Jean Zoar, respectively, and the centenary of the St. Joseph Minor Seminary.
Well, one of the high points of the bishops' gathering was the condemnation of extrajudicial killings and other forms of atrocities that have been witnessed in the Cameroons for some time now. While calling on the colonial authorities to bring killers to book, the bishops, through their acting president, His Grace Andrew Nkea, enjoined faithfuls to pray for peace.
All right, let's go for a short break. We'll be back shortly.
Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amba TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768, www.abcambertv.com. Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amba TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768, www.abcambertv.com. Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amba TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook, ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768, www.abcambertv.com. Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels. Cash App 202-650-2216. Zelle 240-486-8768. Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com.
Continuing the colonial to Cameroon soldiers have bitten more than they can chew, sustaining the military in Amazonia, pushing the La Republic to Cameroon into severe financial problems. It appears the state coffers are fast running dry. Almost every sector of Bia's regime is having a financial crisis. The sector, which is a time born just waiting for time, is the electricity sector. The Interprofessional Organization of Electricity and Water Companies in Cameroon, or ISELEC, is promising the days ahead to the colonial La Republic du Cameroon's ENIO if areas owed them are not paid. Now, what is fast dry in La Republic du Cameroon coffers?
All right, let's start with the electricity sector. ENIO subcontractors claim 10 billion in arrears and announce a strike in La Republic du Cameroon. The Interprofessional Organization of Electricity and Water Companies in Cameroon, ORISELEC, indicated this in a correspondence, of which Echo Martin had a copy. The rag is burning between the Actis subsidiary and its subcontractors, in correspondence of which Echo Martins obtained a copy. The Interprofessional Organization of Electricity and Water Companies in La Republic du Cameroon, ORISELEC, an organization bringing together nearly 70% of ENIO's subcontractors, announces a walkout as of April 28th.
Well, at the origin of this deleterious social climate, the non-payment by ENIO of the services performed, non-payment by ENIO of arrears, abusive suspension of subcontracting companies. On the subject of arrears, ORISELEC, which provides nearly 95% of the maintenance work for ENIO's electricity and connection networks, is claiming 10 billion francs CFA in debt from the energy company over the period from 2015 to 2023, a colossal sum that undermines the financial health of these companies.
Well, the latter also protects against the fact that despite having seized the supervisory ministry, that's the Ministry of Water and Energy, and many promises, ENIO has never advanced a single round. Decry Simon Lapnet, who is the president of the Interprofessional Organization. Now, while we hoped that ENIO would start negotiations, the reactions of the latter was the opposite. Instead, it decided to continue with a call for tenders for the recruitment of service providers, despite the minister's request to suspend this call for tenders.
Well, it is therefore because of this that we have decided to bring forward the strike date initially scheduled for May 10th to Thursday, April 28th. It reads, this after consultation with all the members. This was specified by Simon Lapnet. The subcontractors are all the more motivated by this strike movement because of the abusive dismissals of the concessionaires of which they are victims. To work on the ENIO networks, we need approvals granted by it. ENIO has suspended several approvals because of the prices it sets and which do not suit us. And in addition, it removes the supplier's code, which no longer gives us access to invoice tracking.
Well, this protest movement is not new. In 2022, ORISELEC, that is the Association of Electricity and Water Companies of La Republic du Cameroon, which has now become Uriselek, had always initiated a strike to claim the amount of 5 billion for the period between 2015 to 2020. Now, that amount, which is cumulated to date to the 10 billion francs CFA that it claims and that it intends to recover by all legal means. Now, all attempts to get in touch with Enio about this news have been unsuccessful. However, the concessionaire of the Public Electricity Service is also in turn affiliated by unreimbursed debts from the state to its biggest consumer.
Well, in another letter dated April 14th, 2023, David Grillis, the boss of Actis, also served a formal notice to the Prime Minister Joseph John Gute to demand a payment of 186 billion francs CFA at the risk of dragging the country into court for illegitimate retention of its cash. NEO's parent company is now demanding an immediate commitment, concrete action on the part of the government to discharge its large and increased debts, as well as those of public authorities and state-owned entities, and to pay future debts as they come due.
Well, the palliative measures that have characterized the state's reaction to Actis' concern about the long-term viability of the electricity sector are insufficient. Well, that's the right to the head of Actis. Well, the government's response to this referral to Actis is not yet filtered through. But this is not the first time that NEO has complained of not being paid by the state of La Republic de Cameroon. Well, we'll definitely bring you up to speed with the latest developments as it unfolds. All right, before we get into the news proper, well, this is just a little announcement just to tell us that there will be a comeback. There will be a comeback of Dr. Martin Mungwer on Tuesday for the an exclusive state of the liberation movement. All right, that exclusive state of the liberation movement will have our presidents, the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, of course, President Dr. Samuel Ikomesako. He'll be with Dr. Mungwer Martins on Tuesday. I mean, I'm sure that you wouldn't want to meet this. It's going to be a clash of history, a clash of intelligence, and a clash of everything sweet and nice that you would want to hear. Well, we'll have more details of that coming up in few hours, but we're sure that you would not want to miss it, so you have to prepare ahead to ensure that you don't miss it.
That right there. Now let's move back into La Republic du Cameroon's plans they have made severally without actually fulfilling. Another reconstruction charade. The Babajou to Santa stretch of road had been launched by former colonial La Republic du Cameroon's dictator Amadou Ahidjo since 1979. That's 44 years now. And 44 years on, the quagmire and nightmares live on. Let Amazonians not be bothered, because the genocider Bia's promises are all never accomplished. During his first official visit to Bamenda after taking office in November 1982, 40 years ago, the ring road has been constructed only with words.
Well, Undaunted presents this recurrent case of vehicles heading to and from Bamenda, La Republic de Cameroon, stocked in Santa with no headway caused by bad roads. Further worsened by downpour of rain, rendering the stretch impassable after over 40 years of fake La Republic de Cameroon promises. Transports and private vehicles entering Bamenda local government area from other towns of the neighboring La Republic de Cameroon parked on the road with passengers stranded.
It has become hard reminding the world that this is not the first time vehicles are stuck on the road leading to Bamenda local government area. The stretch has become a nightmare for road users and inhabitants of the northern zone of Amazonia. Despite all of this, the colonial La Republic du Cameroon CPDM government has repeatedly made unfulfilled promises to the populations of Amazonia about actions taken to better the situation of the road, which turned out to be nothing more than repeated lies.
Well, in 2017, the colonial La Republic de Cameroon Public Works Minister Emmanuel Nganu Jumisi lied that construction workers was to begin on the road to facilitate movement of vehicles. He later on launched the fake project in a ceremony in Santa local government area in the presence of the local population and the CPDM dignitaries. The colonial Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngute, in the fooling all the people of all the time policy of colonial Republic to Cameroon on his part during a visit to Bamenda local government area in 2021, again lied that works was to begin upon his return to Yaoundé. Well, here we are today, 2 years after, wondering where the work is. We are in April 2023. The road is still begging for the colonial Republic to Cameroon, the crime syndicates, the government's attention, despite several fake assurances made in the past and present.
Yes, in Africa, still looking at the war in Sudan. The fault lines causing the war in Sudan, as we told you, is a central cause of tension since the 2019 uprising, has been the civilian demand for oversight of the military and integration of the RSF into the regular armed forces. Civilians have also called for the handover of lucrative military holdings in agriculture, trade, and other industries, a crucial source of power for an army that has often outsourced military actions to regional militias. Another point of contention is the pursuit of justice over allegations of war crimes by the military and its allies in the conflict in Darfur from 2003.
The International Criminal Court is seeking trials for Bashir and other Sudanese suspects. Justice is also being sought over the killing of pro-democracy protesters in June 2019, in which military forces are implicated. Activists and civilian groups have been angered by delays to an official investigation. In addition, they want justice for at least 125 people killed by security forces in protests since the 2021 coup. What's at stake in the region? Well, Sudan is in a volatile region bordering the Red Sea, the Sahel region, and the Horn of Africa. Its strategic location and agricultural wealth have attracted regional power plays, complicating the chances of a successful transition to civilian-led government.
Several of Sudan's neighbors, including Ethiopia, Chad, and South Sudan, have been affected by political upheavals and conflict, and Sudan's relationship with Ethiopia in particular has been strained over issues including disputed farmland along their border. Sudanese refugees have fled the recent fightings to the country's neighbors, including thousands who have crossed into Chad. Major geopolitical dimensions are also at play, with Russia, the US, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and other powers battling for influence in Sudan.
The Saudis and the UAE have seen Sudan's transition as an opportunity to push back against Islamist influence in the region. They, along with the US and Britain from the Quad, which has sponsored mediation in Sudan along with the UN and the African Union. Western powers fear the potential for a Russian base on the Red Sea, to which Sudanese military leaders have expressed openness.
Well, this fighting in Sudan has continued for nearly 2 weeks since it began on April 15th, when violence broke out between the country's army and the paramilitary group called the Rapid Support Forces. But we'll take a look now at the stakes involved, what the stake involved in the region and beyond.
While international diplomats are struggling to bring Sudan back from the brink, Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he has spoken to both generals directly. The African Union is also involved in negotiation, but the UN head of mission, Volker Patel, said this week neither side seemed serious about negotiating. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned on Tuesday the violence could spread to other countries in the region, saying it is lighting a fuse that could detonate across borders, causing immense suffering for years and setting developments back for decades.
Well, Sudan is surrounded by a host of fragile states, either in conflict or emerging from it. Before the fall of Bashir, the US long considered Sudan a state sponsor of terrorism. Quoting the Suzanne Stingat, who runs the African program at the U.S. Institute of Peace, she says having a stable Sudan that looks to the United States as a partner, as a core partner, that's incredibly strategic, she says. And it's not only Washington that wants to see an end to the fighting. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have financial interests in Sudan. Egypt shares a long border and a significant source of water, the Nile.
Well, China and Sudan have long had a relationship stemming from the North African state's export of oil. The Beijing is Sudan's second biggest trading partner and has considerable investments in the country. The Russian mercenary group, the Wagner, which has links to the Kremlin, also has a presence in Sudan, mainly involving guarding Russian-run mines as well as gold smuggling. The group denies any involvement in the conflict anyways.
Well, Russia also has other interests in the country, with Moscow planning to build a military base in Port Sudan or the Red Sea. How might the current conflict play out? Many analysts believe that Sudan is headed for a prolonged period of conflict, given that neither general is likely to relinquish power easily. The many Sudanese who participated in the pro-democracy movement are devastated to see their hopes of a transition back to civilian rule imperiled, but members of the country's so-called resistance committees, which organized the 2019 and post-coup protests, say they're not giving up.
Well, despite multiple calls for an end to hostilities, several ceasefires have failed. The latest, announced earlier this week, is seeing a lower in fighting, not a complete halt. A number of countries have offered to mediate and get the two generals to the negotiating table, but given how far the leaders have gone in denouncing each other, it's believed they are unlikely to give up their struggle for power, at least not now. Some analysts say this conflict has been long in the making. Cameron Hudson, a former U.S. official, has worked on Sudan, thinks the U.S. miscalculated by putting too much trust in what the general said about their commitment to restoring civilian control.
Now, Mohamed Usman, on the other hand, a researcher on Sudan at Human Rights Watch, says the world should have seen this coming. Quoting him, he says both forces come with a long legacy of abuse. He says the unfortunate part is that the former government, the transitional government, failed to address this legacy of abuse, failed to embark upon security sector reform, alike with the international actors who continue to prioritize politics of appeasement. Well, everyone with their opinions, should haves, could haves. But then, does this mean there is no end in sight to this war that is carried on fiercely for over 2 weeks now, putting citizens in harm's way with the death toll rising over 500 so far and injured going over 1,600? If the international community cannot do anything about the Sudan war, what's the chance that they can do so much for Ambazonia? And what can Amazonia do next if help from the international community fails?
Right, South Africa exits the ICC. South Africa's decision is coming 1 month after the ICC issued an arrest warrant for Russia's President Vladimir Putin and his Commissioner for Children's Rights, and ahead of the BRICS summit, which South Africa will host. South Africa on Tuesday said it has decided to exit their International Criminal Court due to a matter of unfair treatment. Oh well. The governing party, African National Congress, has taken that decision that it is prudent that South Africa should pull out of the ICC. Cyril Ramaphosa said this at a press conference he co-hosted with President Sauli Niinisto of Finland, who is visiting South Africa.
Well, Mr. Ramaphosa said the decision to exit the ICC is largely because of the manner in which the ICC has been seen to be dealing with some problems which he did not name. There has also been commentary, I believe, from Amnesty International, where there has been a reflection on what many people believe is fair treatment. And our view is that we will like this matter of unfair treatment to be properly discussed. But in the meantime, the governing party has decided once again that there should be a pullout, he added. South Africa's decision is coming 1 month after the ICC issued an arrest warrant for Russia's President Vladimir Putin and his Commissioner for Children's Rights. The announcement also comes ahead of the BRICS summit, which South Africa will host.
Well, Mr. Putin is expected to attend the summit, and as a signee to the ICC, South Africa is expected to detain Russia's president, but would most likely not do so, and has now moved to announce its intention to exit the court. Now, this is not the first attempt South Africa is making at exiting the ICC. In 2016, it attempted to do so following a dispute a year earlier when Sudan's then President Umar el-Bashir visited the country for an African Union summit.
They refused to arrest him despite Mr. al-Bashir facing an ICC arrest warrant for alleged war crimes. The decision to pull out was, however, revoked when a domestic court ruled such a move would have been unconstitutional.
All right, before we go, let's take the stories that we had earlier in the week. Now, in the course of the week, we had reports from the home front, and a couple of which were unfortunately sad, and others proved bravery and, of course, strength. We saw from our reports that the continued human rights abuse of Amazonia hasn't stopped yet, but neither has the firepower of the Amazonian Restoration Forces stopped either.
And we brought it all to you in full details this week. But just in case you missed out on the news in detail, we have a recap right now. King Shina Rambo, an Amazonian fighter manding affairs in Bambalang, interrupted illegal roads construction work going on in his area of operation. La Republic du Cameroon's military-sponsored road construction project work on one of the outskirt roads of Bambalang is not healthy for the Amazonian struggle, was what King Shina Rambo declared. In a video displayed bravery, the fighter records himself parading the said road and promising to set ablaze any engine found working on the road. King Shina Rambo, touring the road, made it clear that the reason for which La Republic du Cameroon is carrying out construction work on the road is to create access to him and for his tactics of fast forwarding the stay of the colonial La Republic du Cameroon military in Amazonia.
All right, now concerning a referendum, so much ink flowed and voices rose on the issue of a referendum as a way forward to end the genocidal conflict in the southern Cameroon's Amazonia. Some even talked about another plebiscite. To those who are peddling a referendum as a way forward in the Amazonian liberation struggle, while President Sako's response was and remains a categorical no. The conflict between the two Cameroons dating back to 1961 is characterized by two things. First, French Cameroon's claim to the southern Cameroon's territory, and secondly, French Cameroon's unilateral actions and policies to prevent the people of the southern Cameroons from ever being able to freely express their wishes. Well, in the course of the week, we had Barrister Tim Bezier explain deeply on this particular issue.
The people also are yet to come out of the shock that struck them as armed men killed four in Amba village in Santa local government area, Mezam County of Amazonia. We got it that Achiri, Ngu, Terence, and Sylvanus were shot dead at a drinking spot not far from the Amba Palace on Saturday night, breaking Sunday, April 23rd, 2023. Source also indicated that gunshots were heard in the evening hours of Saturday, and the result were four men lying dead in the pool of their own blood. One of those men who were killed is suspected to be the bar owner, with many saying he was one of the quarter heads. Unofficial sources got to us that the gunmen took away some of those who were at the bar where the incident happened.
Also, a 27-year-old young girl who dropped out of school for lack of fees is now a reference point in the red palm oil business in Licumber Market. Licumber is in the local government area of Fako County in the Atlantic zone of Amazonia. The young girl, who prefers to be called Anita, says she ventured into the business in February 2023. In an exclusive chat with the media, Anita said she chose the business after finding it difficult to further her education for lack of tuition fees. It is the first time the young girl is making her debut in the business and says she counts on the public to excel.
According to a colonial municipal councillor, the council's 2022 earmarked projects are either pending realization or yet to kickstart, especially in localities closer to Libyalem County, known to be one of the hotter zones of the socio-political conflict. Even though the colonial mayor Echu Joseph Ayong told his collaborators, the councillors, that the non-realization or completion of some of these projects is due to delayed FACOM, La Republic's council support funding body, funding the colonial DO of Tinto during the council's budgetary session, mentioned rising insecurity as a major threat to this project. The colonial DO Fungon Amadou did not mince his words, saying, "Tell the population that no project will be realized if there is no peace." Owners of those construction machines say they are scared to work because of threats that their machines will be burnt.
Well, on Monday, we told you that in Africa, while the war in Sudan is not having any fruitful ceasefire, other countries with e-citizens in Sudan have started evacuation of their countrymen and women. A ship carrying people from 13 countries has arrived in Saudi Arabia, and the United States has evacuated all embassy staffers and their families by helicopter from Khartoum. Sudan's army has said that it was taking steps to help more foreign nationals escape the conflict.
And on the foreign scene on Tuesday, we told you ahead of the annual summit, 19 nations have submitted membership requests. The growing prominence of the BRICS countries is only set to continue expanding, as 19 nations have submitted membership requests ahead of their annual summit. The event set to take place in South Africa this summer has a host of nations seeking entry.
Well, on Monday, we told you that the BRICS collectively made it known that they were open to new members. Additionally, as a bloc of countries to surpass the G7 nations in GDP, it seems expansion could continue to implement a shift in the global power balance. Specifically, amidst their continued efforts to replace the US dollar in international trade, well, we hope that this would definitely get even more interesting because the BRICS summit tends to be pulling a different dimension this year. Well, this is where we draw the curtains on the reports this night. Remember, we told you that Dr. Mungwer will have a comeback on Tuesday, and he is going to start that particular day's exclusive liberation movement with President Dr. Samuel Ikemen-Sako, so do not miss it. On the other hand, remember again that ABC Amba TV 1 year anniversary launch starts officially today. So it's going to be a week-long process of events. So ensure that you get yourself ready. If you love what we do, if you love what this TV has been doing in terms of education, in terms of information, a little bit of entertainment, ensure that you are ready to launch with us. So keep a date as all of the details will unfold shortly.
More programs coming up next, but then we'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you.
Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amba TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal payments at abcambertv.com. Contact us today. info@abcambertv.com. Facebook ABC Ambazonia. You can call us on 124-048-68768. www.abcambertv.com.